Hello, welcome to this introduction to Epidata. It is part of the Epidemiology and Biostatistics 1 module. I'm Brian Mobello, and I'm going to be taking you through this. Now, let's start by looking at the learning outcomes. What I would like you to know after this lecture. Number one, I would like you to know the benefits and limitations of using Epidata for data entry. Number two, I would like to show you how to download and install Epidata. Number three, you should be able to construct an electronic questionnaire in Epidata. Number four, you should be able to capture data into the questionnaire which you've designed in Epidata. And last but not the least, you should be able to export the data that you have entered into Epidata into another format, in this case, Stata format. Now, in line with those learning outcomes which I've shared with you right now, the contents of my lecture will be presented in four parts. I've broken the lecture into four parts. In part one, which is essentially this lecture, it's a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to be introducing you to Epidata. In part two, I will be using video demonstration to show you how to create electronic questionnaires in Epidata. And in part three, we will then enter data into the questionnaire that you've created, another video demonstration. And in the last part, part four, I'll be showing you how to navigate the data you've captured, and finally, how to export that data into Stata. So let's start with part one. In part one, I want you to know about Epidata, and I want to share a few reasons why Epidata is popular among public health researchers. And then, of course, I will show you where and how to download Epidata. Epidata is a free software which is used for mainly data entry and some basic data analysis. When you have collected data on paper questionnaire and you want to capture that data, then a software like Epidata becomes handy. Epidata is used for simple or programmed data entry. I will explain to you in a short while what I mean by programmed data entry. But simple data entry is just creating an electronic form that looks like a paper form without any sophisticated programs. You just go from one variable to another the way they appear on the paper form. The data analysis part of the Epidata software was really a later addition. So it's very okay to consider Epidata to be made up of three main parts, or steps, basically designing the electronic questionnaire, programming the electronic questionnaire, and going ahead to capture data into the electronic questionnaire. But it's okay, we can still see the data analysis module as being part of Epidata, even though it is not popularly used because it does only basic analysis. You're much better analyzing your data in Stata. All right, let's look at the Epidata workflow as I've already indicated in the previous slide, okay? The first part is to design the electronic form. You call it a form or you call it a questionnaire. It's the same thing. You design a plain electronic questionnaire and you go ahead to use it. Or you can actually go a step further and add programs to the electronic questionnaire. And step two is to then enter data into the electronic form. And then step three is to conduct analysis, right? Now, this part of my lecture, this PowerPoint presentation, it introduces these three components that I've mentioned, listed above, okay? But in subsequent video demonstrations, I will show you how to actually do each of these. Design a form, add programs to the form, and enter data. And of course, manage the data that you have entered. Additionally, you would have received Epidata manuals for step one and step two. There's a short manual which is very easy to use, but it's not as detailed. It's concise. You can start with that. But if you want to go in depth, you can use the long manual. But I must quickly let you know that the long manual is based on the old version. Things haven't changed much. Things are largely the same, but you might find a few changes here and there. The long manual really goes into detail on how to do different things in Epidata. Now let's look at step one. What do I mean when I say you design an electronic questionnaire? I mean that if you have a paper questionnaire, you basically are producing a digital version, an electronic version of that paper questionnaire. So the sequence of the questions in the paper questionnaire is going to be the same sequence of the questions in the electronic questionnaire. The electronic questionnaire that you've designed, or the electronic form that you've designed, can be a very simple form, the way I've explained it. But you can also go a step further and add programs to control which kind of data can be captured and which kind of data cannot be captured. Now, let me give you an example. I've listed 3 examples of programs there, but let me give you a simple example. Is a range check for numerical fields, for numerical variables. A range check is a program that you add to a numerical field to specify the range of values that the field can allow you to capture data on. For example, if you conducted a reproductive health study and the eligibility criteria for participants was that they should be between 15 years and 49 years. That would be your range, which you program into age, into the field age. So if a data capturer tries to capture 50 or 14 on the lower end, 50 on the upper end, the Epidata is going to raise an alarm and say, no, you're outside of the range. There are other kinds of programs that you can add to your electronic forms. Like automatic calculation of numeric fields and skip patterns for related fields. Take, for example, if someone doesn't smoke, you shouldn't be asking them how many cigarettes or how many times a day they smoke or how many cigarettes they smoke. So those are skip patterns. Now we'll go into all of this in detail when I do the video demonstration, okay? All right, the next phase after designing the electronic form is to capture data into the form. The data capturer can be yourself who has designed the form, or maybe you are the data manager who designs the form, and in your unit there is a data capturer who will help you capture the data. Whoever the data capturer is, they can see the number of forms that have been captured, and they can search for specific forms to see if they have already been captured, okay? And the last but not the least is conducting analysis. But like I said earlier, you're not going to conduct analysis in Epidata. I will be expecting you to export the data you've captured. When I give you the end of lecture exercise, you design a form, you capture data into that form, and I would be expecting you to export that data into Stata for analysis. Why Epidata? First of all, Epidata is free, it's not proprietary. But number 2, it's also quite easy for creating questionnaires and for capturing data. If you're doing small projects in your unit, in your department, for yourself, you shouldn't be capturing data into traditional spreadsheets like Excel. You know, you can get lost. You know, as you go from the left column to the right column, if you have many variables, let's assume 50 variables or 100, you can get lost and forget where you are. And also, you can get lost between columns and get lost between rows. But also, spreadsheets do not allow you program, and like I said just now, programs are good not only for speed and efficiency, but also for data, for the accuracy of the data that's captured. Now, Epidata is a very good introduction to database design for public health researchers, because if you get to learn the difference between single and relational databases, you get to learn the different data structures and the thinking behind database design, and amongst other reasons. These are amongst the other reasons why you would want to use Epidata. But also there's continuous improvement and support for Epidata. Right now we are now in version 4.6.0.2, and things have changed slightly, like I said earlier, from the previous version. Okay, now here on this screen, I'm showing you how to I will show you how to on the next 3 slides, I'll show you how to download Epidata. You go to the official website, which is shown, the epidata.denmark. And you click on the download tab at the top of the button. You'll see that very soon, and you scroll down to the operating system you have, whether it's Windows or it's Apple, and then you click on this and you click on the download. Now, Epidata comes in 3 different components, and you can download each of them individually. But if you're a Windows user, the all-in-one installer downloads everything at the same time. Now, if you don't want to download and install Epidata, there are executable files that you can download and run Epidata from there. You can see that there are also manuals for data manager. Data manager is basically the module that allows you to create the forms, and entry client is the module that allows you to enter data into the forms that you've created. And of course, the analysis module, which we would not be using. But anyway, most of you will probably use Windows, and you will use the all-in-one installer to download Epidata. Thank you.